Mic check 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Welcome everyone to the meeting. Just a quick announcement. We're going to get started in a couple minutes here. Our child care staff has just arrived, so our youngest disciples can head over here with Miss Stephanie, and they're going to go have fun at the park outside, and then we'll get started in a few moments. Everybody's logging on to the live stream. We'll give you a couple minutes before we get started.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Just to recap, I'm sure you all know last week we had the presentation where we presented our findings from our evaluation of the campus. And then this week we're just looking to really just dedicate this whole time to questions and answers and anybody sharing any thoughts or feelings they might have. I'm just going to open us in prayer really quickly and then we'll jump into it. Dear Lord, we thank you for this church, and we thank you for all the people in this church. We pray that you be with us here this afternoon. Be with us and keep our minds and our hearts open as we listen to each other's feelings and thoughts. Amen. Okay. So, people who are watching on the live stream, if you have any questions or just any thoughts or input that you want to share online on the church website, there is a link. There's a page that I think it's I can't ever remember the letters. Strategic Growth and Planning Committee has a page there, and you can click on there and you can submit your questions through the church website, and we will answer them. But for people who are in this room, let's just dive in. Anybody have any questions or something they want to share? And then if you do, raise your hand because Chris will run the mic to you.
What kind of a timetable are you looking for all the groups that are going to come in with the wish list and asking what they would like to have in facilities and space and everything else? Has any thought been given to that yet?
We are not quite there yet. For our committee, our purpose here is to just really hear some feedback, and then we make a recommendation on how we think we should proceed. And our recommendation will ultimately get voted on at a church conference. So we're not quite there yet, but I will tell you, if our recommendation involves, any kind of restructuring of the building or anything like that, it's not something the church is going to rush into. There's going to be a lot of time for gathering input and for thinking about it. And it's really something, it's not, we need to think about the things that we have now, and we also need to really dig into where we want to be in the future. And all of that is going to take some time. So it's not something that's going to get rushed into at all. Does that answer your question, or?
That's fine. I would like to rush it.
He says he would like to rush it.
Just agreed.
Anyone else? Back here?
Thank you. I don't know what page it's on, but the part where Brogan's office is, and then where we're making lunches, sack lunches, and counting money, it talked about how that is, doesn't smell good. It seems, to me, it's like I don't even want people to have to be in that area. It really worries me that somebody's going to get sick while we're taking this slow march to figure out what to do.
Yes, there is, I don't think we've had like actual air quality tested down there, but as far as like the basement is concerned of this building where all of that water damage is happening first, we're doing it as quickly as we can with as much intention as we can. I mean, I'm not saying like, I'm not saying we're not hurrying. We're starting the process, and this is an important first step. But we will, we don't want to drag it out by any means, and definitely the water intrusion issues are something that needs to be addressed as quickly as we can. But it seems, it doesn't seem good to me to try and just like rush into things without a good solid plan in place.
Well, I don't want rushing, but I was thinking maybe a temporary place for those people that are down there. I mean, if it were me, I would not want to be down there breathing that air, not knowing what it's going to do to me. And I feel really bad that we have people down there while we're going slowly. I don't want you to rush but maybe there's another place where Pastor Brogan could be, where you guys could make the lunches, where Dave Peterson and his gang could count the money.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's
seriously.
smart. Yeah, no, that's smart. And I agree. We should look into that.
Okay, please do.
And if you're...
For example, the church is on fire. We need a plan. The church is on fire, and we need a plan as to what building we're going to put up when it comes down. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I have a question also, more to why some of these things are happening, and in particular the water intrusion in the basement when we're in maybe the beginning of this big drought. Why is the water level an issue?
So I maybe am not the best person. We might want Chris or even Pastor William to speak to that, because they got all the reports from trustees.
I'm not sure that I can answer why the water has risen.
Jack Croker is going to speak as to that.
I could probably tell you, I've been here forever, and the water intrusion in the basement has been here forever. There was originally one sump pump down in the basement that when it failed, the basement was underwater. So that was the only thing that was keeping us dry above the slab level. And then when we did this, we obviously knew that we had to do something, and Robert went through and did this big investigation, and they put in 6 more sub pumps in the patio area and all the way around it, trying to drain water away. The problem is that the water comes in faster than those sub pumps can carry it away. Even in this drought, that water level is still high, and the 6 sump pumps cannot keep it down. So there's no hope. The plan to fix it involves completely removing the downstairs slab, clear to the foundation, digging down another 6 feet, sloping the ground into a V, into more sump pumps, and then restoring it with gravel, and then another slab on top of that, and then a secondary slab with waterproofing in between the two to try to do it. Now, we had an estimate of a ballpark of $200,000. It ain't gonna happen for $200,000, I can tell you that. So.
And just one other piece is to Gary's direct question. The the hydrologist engineering firm that we used said that this part of Escondido, from here to like Great Date Park, is the low end of is where the water table is in Escondido. So most of the water from these valleys comes into this area. So that was one of the things they also noted, just the geology of where we are, and that's just been how we got a subterranean permit to build 50 some years or 60 years ago, is one of the big questions, that we're below grade.
It's important if you want to talk to wait for the mic, because the people in the live stream can't hear your question unless you have that mic.
And while I'm walking, I'll just add one additional comment that even if we did fix that, it doesn't make it any more accessible. So even if it was usable, it becomes not as accessible as we would need it for people.
Yeah, part of my question is wondering if the water is coming from rainfall or if there's a leak from the city somewhere that maybe might shift some of the responsibility for paying this to the city. I don't know what steps were taken to rule out that possibility.
Yeah, I do know that they involved a lot of, like Pastor Williams said, hydrologists and experts. So I think if that was the case, they definitely would have alerted us to that.
Did they do a test for, what would you say you did out at the?
Well, you could look for chlorine maybe or something, but the chemicals they add to water to.
Jack is saying that they did that and it is natural water.
Feeling that there must be some more tests to prove the situation we got is what we think it is.
I'm not afraid of being a little inappropriate. I have my people, all of you here that will shut me down, but I see a fountain going, and we're carrying away little buckets of water, and we're not seeing the assets that's there, or seeing what God put in this place. Say more. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what we might do with it, but our hearts are looking at it in the wrong way.
Okay.
Is my thought as the manic little jester on the side that's.
Okay. Would you mind explaining a little bit? I'm sorry.
It's not explain. It's a dream. You know that I see this fountain. It's beautiful, and there's water, and there's mushrooms growing. Oh, let's get rid of the mushrooms. They might kill us. You know, the mushrooms are magic, and what shall we do with them? It's manna. So
Okay.
I'm crazy.
No, thank you for sharing.
I would like to see the hydrologist report. I mean, I'm one of those people that reads the statistics that the city produces about the water quality every couple of years, and I think the hydrologist report might, if it was somehow made public to us, it might.
Carol's head of trustees, and she says that they can share the reports.
Oh, that'd be fabulous. I'd
Yeah.
love that. Thank you.
It's a public report as well. It's not private at all. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Jack, I've been here longer than forever. But I don't know. I think about this. I wasn't at the meeting last week, but I did look through the report, and I could not believe it. And I think I felt badly because, you know, a lot of us don't have kids anymore. And way back when we did, we paid attention to things. And now it was almost like we quit paying attention. And I was kind of shocked at the messes in some of the rooms. And I don't know, I just thought, well, maybe we just kind of quit caring at some point. Or anyway, that's kind of how I felt. And
Yeah, and our intentions with creating the report and taking so many pictures, we're just that. We know that, you know, a lot of people, they come in and, you know, they go to their sanctuary, they come into Rise, and we're not utilizing these rooms, so we're not seeing those rooms in the kind of condition that they're in. So part of our reasoning for doing the report is we wanted to show everybody, you know, this is the current state of our church campus, and really we need to do something about it. So
Are we going to have to abandon the basements in those buildings?
yeah.
Well, I don't mean physically now. You're going to, in the construction, whatever you're going to do, you're going to change them back to what they were at one time or something so that the rest of the structure is built properly, replaced properly or whatever.
Yeah, we don't have an answer as to that yet. We're still kind of in the early phases here. Coming up with that kind of plan would happen a little later on.
I think it would be helpful if we had some idea of the different directions you're considering. It's hard to ask questions. Most of the things we saw in the report last week, we've known about.
Yeah.
So kind of where are you thinking of going, just to get the idea of the scale and the...
Yeah, Williams, there we go.
We're in the assessment phase, and we are not in a direction phase. And I think that's what we're struggling with, right? People want to know, well, what to do next. The reason the committee was brought together because of the sheer dollar amount for the types of things that need to be repaired just to use, but also to grow ministry, was tipping into $1.5 to $2 million. And the trustees felt that that was not their purview to decide those things, because where are you going to get that money? And then the Book of Discipline in our Methodist tradition provides the opportunity to do assessment. Where are we? And last week, Earl Guy left us with the next step question, which was, what are the ministries and the programs and the life that we as a church see ourselves doing, both currently and into the future, and can we do those in the spaces we have? That's the other piece of the assessment, is not this process. This is an assessment process, and the report last week was an update as to the assessment committees. If we can, then how? If we can't, then what? But to venture into solutions or directions about what the committee is deciding, I think we cannot stress enough that the committee doesn't make that decision. There's them to go through a charge conference, so it'll be before directions for solutions are even considered, there's a lot of work still to be done.
William, you were here when I asked the question earlier. What kind of schedule are you talking about to get some of these answers you need? Because, you know, which groups in the thing in the church are ready to come back and say, we need this much space, this many square feet, we can work with, you know.
That was started next week. This is the next step, and that is the response to the report. And I would imagine after this committee, I'm going to turn it back over to Carly, but after today, we start that process.
Yeah, okay, I'm looking for a date, I guess, a month or
all the linear people want schedule, right? Everybody wants something next. And we're in a huge process that let me put it to you this way. There are, 35 people in this room? Are you ready and willing to commit to the changes necessary, make that decision, and lead the whole church right now? Then nobody else is either. So there's no secret group out there making a decision. If we're not it, and if the church isn't it, then it doesn't happen, right? And so I think that that's really important to understand, that there isn't, the next step is we will assess the ministries of our church. And I'm going to get out of this because this is Carly's thing to do, but I'm the process guy. So Carly deals with questions and feelings.
To answer your question, as quickly as we possibly can. This next phase, we want to do it well and we want to do it right, but we definitely want to get it done as quickly as we possibly can to move on to the next phase. So.
Excuse me. It seems some of the things we're talking about are mold issues and air quality in the basement where people are working now. So some of this, it seems, needs to be done like yesterday. Whatever is, or we need to identify what the priorities are.
Yeah.
If there's railings on catwalks that are unsafe, they're too wobbly or something, you know, some of that's just maintenance needs to get done.
So it sounds like the next phase is, talking about where we want to be and the different types of ministries that we have and all that, so we can envision and see, what buildings and grounds will look like to meet those needs that we're goal setting and planning to have. And it seems like there may be another group that could be doing something at the same time or before, which is, what do we need right at this moment? Like, what are we using the church for right now? We're using this building for Rise, this building for Sanctuary. We have 3 meeting rooms. We have one for childcare. Like, what exactly are those rooms right now? And then look at, where are they? Are they in hazardous areas? Mm-hmm. What can we repurpose for what's being used right now? And then how can we make those areas nice?
Sure.
And then in the meantime, we have that like small part of it. I feel like I'm so loud. I feel like I'm so loud. No. So to have a group that looks like, this is what these are the types of facilities we're using right now. If they're not in places that are safe or conducive for the use that they're being put to, what do we have that we can use for the needs that we have right now, mm-hmm. while at the same time groups are planning ahead in the future, and how can we make those areas that we're using right now nice instead of like a room that's storage, meeting, and chapel at the same time?
Sure, and I think that, we've kind of already done that. So the basement is completely blocked off. That's not being used. Nobody can go down there. We've moved Godly Play into this room over here that used to be the lounge, and it's been freshly painted. It's all nice. We have been doing that. So as far as, Brogan's office being downstairs, the air quality hasn't been tested down there, but like it just smells kind of musty, and we don't know if that's, maybe that's definitely something we need to look into. And should she need to be down there? No, she shouldn't be. She shouldn't be down there. But so yeah, that's a fair point, and we should be doing what we can. But we are, as far as, we're not sending children, downstairs into the basement. That's off limits. We are moving into areas that are nicer and that are safe for everybody. But I do think it's wise that, safety issues definitely should be addressed, before, we don't need this kind of thing just to address basic safety issues.
Okay, trustees meets Monday. I'm chair of trustees. I'm Carol Croker, for those that don't know you. And that's the agenda for Monday, is to look at the groups that are coming in there. We have representations from Rise, from Montiel, and from Sanctuary, and to look at what the committee members know, and what we could remember was happening before, and then to look at the spaces. We also know, that UMW has concerns and wants to get back on campus. We want to open the campus back up. When we closed 2 years ago, we did it because the conference told us we're closed, we're done. And so we closed. And no one, has been happy with that, but we've tried to do the best that we can. But I'm telling you, the process is starting on Monday to see who was meeting before, and then we will get a survey together that will go out to everybody and say, what what are your needs? What do you want? You know, do we have the space now? And can we make it work? And then trustees will assess the cost to make that available and workable. So I just wanted to let you know that trustees is working on it. But
Thank you.
if you have something, if you have something and you want to tell me, you know, that we were meeting here. I mean, I know some things, but I don't know it all. So, you know, you'll have to reach out to me, send me an email, send me something, and we can have that as part of the conversation on Monday.
I am a trustee, and that's why I looked at Carol to see if she wanted to speak on that, since I knew that was our agenda. So, yeah, I think Monday begins some of the work that really needs to be done, just to identify what we have and what we can really accommodate. And from there, we're going to be able to talk about where we want to go and what we truly need.
The air quality at the beginning of all this was tested first thing in the basement when we started looking at this. The only thing that had active bad spores or whatever, mold, was in the room where you come down the stairs and you're around the corner, and there's a little storage area back there. But that's because there's windows that can be opened down there, and it's not shut up. It was open, you know, we opened it up as soon as we had, you know, problems. The deal is we have peeling walls, we have effervescing concrete, we have this rising water table, and we tried. I mean, we had dehumidifiers down there. We tried to drop the water. We went through the really rainy season, and just kept checking it and kept measuring it. This report has the measuring of it, and the water table was not going down. So years ago, and I've been back to how long we've been here, and you know, we were talking about making the areas accessible. Okay, let's put an elevator or something over there. Well, now that's not an option because the ground level is up. We don't have the space to put an elevator at the corner of the building and make those upper level and the office level into the back of the sanctuary accessible. And have we had it tested down below for air quality? No. We have not done air quality in Brogan's office or down where the music is. So, could we do that? Yeah. And probably that'll be in the process.
Anyone else?
This is another trustee, so
Judy Graham. I just wanted to confirm that last week we talked about some areas that weren't in this really good analysis, the library right here, the 2 parking lots and the garage. So I just wanted to confirm that you've added that to what you're going to study.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And the other thing I had a concern about is you talked about security and safety for the preschoolers with, you know, this gate and that kind of thing. I wondered if you looked at the security all across the whole campus for, you know, kids, teenagers, adults, us older ones.
Yeah, that's certainly on our list of concerns, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we pass?
Sure. Carly, I'd like to ask those of you that have young children, are all the children currently having their Sunday school in the Godly Playroom?
Yes.
That's the only room you have available?
Yes.
I'm thinking that needs to, I would say that kind of needs to be a priority for us to make a better space for the kids, more space for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all kind of in the same room right now. We're fortunate where all the kids are kind of the same age range right now, so that is working currently. I mean, we do have Jess here, her oldest daughter is kind of above that age group, so, you know, eventually we're going to need to grow and have different rooms available for.
Sunday school space will be a
Yes.
critical thing.
Yeah, and then also hopefully, youth group space also.
I have an idea to share, but I don't know if this is an appropriate time or venue. But it's like a pre-thinking idea. Would you like that now or no?
Yes.
Okay. So as I was listening to the report last week, I was just kind of watching and seeing like, oh, all these spaces are not useful for what we're doing and being used for storage. We're just kind of holding on to a lot of junk we don't need or we're not going to use. And I started thinking about that when this church was built, it was an era of churches with 500 people. And I think we've moved out of that era. I think we have two types of churches now. We have the type of church that's got maybe 200 people, and then we have mega churches. And I think if you look at who's here, you can tell what kind of church we want to be. I don't know if we want to be a 10,000 person church. That's one of the things I love the most about this church is how much I feel like a part of a family. And so I'm looking at it thinking, maybe we need to redesign for the current reality of church. Right now in 2020, you go to a small church or you go to a mega church. There are not churches in the middle anymore. And the other thought that crossed my mind was that this location that we have here is so prime for serving the city of Escondido, especially with the new development that's going in at the end of Grand. We have such an opportunity to do something that could serve our community. And I think a little bit like what I think Anne was trying to say, just what an opportunity. It's scary because it's a lot of money and we don't know what it is. But one thing that our community doesn't have in this area is green space, open space. I feel, I don't know anything about this, but I just feel like open space is probably cheaper to develop than a building. And that we could expand our community garden. We could build something that gave back to our community by using the space that we have. And I think also in a post-COVID world, having comfortable outside space is going to be something that really is valuable to us. So those are just my ideas. Maybe you guys can think on that too. Nobody has to agree, but I would love to see, in however we move forward, something with lots of green space, comfortable outdoor areas, shade, and then something that serves our downtown community. We don't need another coffee shop. We've got like 5. So that's probably not it, but we don't have, the closest park I think is Grape Day Park, which is a little bit problematic for lots of reasons for people to kind of like hang out at, but there could be something great that I think opened everything up. Anyway, that was my idea that hit me while I was watching last week's presentation. Thank you guys for all the research you're doing also, but that's all I got, thanks.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Those are great ideas.
Hi, Brandon. I'm on Board of Trustees as well. Oh, sorry. But I think what Becca's saying is I think the whole reason for this, I think we've kind of had a church that was being fully utilized. We've had more than a decade of not the whole church being utilized. And now the assessment is trying to figure out, well, what can we do to tighten things up is out. There's no way we're going to drop millions of dollars into a basement that nobody wants to be in. So let's fail fast on that one, you know? And so we're trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do? And I think that's what Pastor William's saying is, well, we're trying to assess what is it that we need, what is it that we don't need, let's move forward. And I think the sooner we just agree on that and maybe take an inventory of the things that we do need, the sooner we can get it all done.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the reason we're having this is because, you know, we're a committee, but there's only 5 of us on our committee. So we have our feelings and our thoughts, but part of our job is to really, you know, talk to you all and get this kind of feedback so we know, you know, whatever we decide, it needs to represent what everybody feels. And so this whole session is just basically gathering some input so that we know which way to move forward that matches how the rest of the congregation feels.
As many as you like.
Thank you. I'm seeing a river. Sorry. Lead me beside still waters. A place of healing. I see the vision that, I think I'm speaking in tongues almost, that Becca mentioned. The still waters, the calm, the gathering, the transformation there. I also know that my home was dedicated. I couldn't find the plaque, but that's part of the church, and I think of that as a retreat center. It's my retreat center. It's been a retreat center ever since my dad built it. He never once went into the pool that's at our house, but he said, I'm filling it in if the neighbors don't come over and get in it. So he would be here, a trustee of many years ago. Gary's too, behind the building of that church. Our house, a parsonage. I just am seeing it already there, Oh, we've got this problem, there's a river, there's waters bubbling up, it's almost scary what I see. Get into the waters, where the waters are troubled, and pick up your mat and walk. And another thing I saw as an assessment, and this is kind of a naughty thing. We were doing a service, it was being recorded outside. I believe it was Brogan and William, and there was a siren in the background, and I heard that. There were hurting, screaming in the background, going for somewhere for help. There was no evidence that in our service that morning, unless we heard it at home and prayed and so forth, that we noticed what was going on and the need that was screaming at us in the valley, if I'll say. Amen.
Thank you. Oh, Brogan.
I didn't mean to surprise you all there by raising my hand. There's a lot of folks who it sounds like we're eager to have these conversations about the ministries of our church and where we're headed and the space use and all of these things. And I would just like to name it for you that these conversations have already started. We called them the Futures meetings, where we invited everyone to come and to share and to talk and to begin this conversation that then went back to our Council of Ministries to talk about what that looks like as a whole church. So when you're sitting here thinking, well, when's the next step? That's intimately related to everything that we're doing. And our Strategic Growth and Planning Committee will be talking with the COM and in conversation with those reports and our lay leaders in the whole church. But that work has already been begun, and many of you showed up for those meetings, for the Futures meetings as we're calling them. And so I would encourage you to keep showing up for those Futures meetings as we continue this conversation and invite anyone and everyone into that conversation about the ministries and the missional priorities of our church.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, Pastor Ben. I just want to encourage you on the website. There's a form to fill out where you can communicate directly with the committee. While it's great to sort of have this brainstorming session, as we go away from here, write it down, put it in a doc, and then you just copy and paste it in there, and send us your visions and your hopes and your dreams. We want to collect it all and bring it all together. That's really the work of this committee, putting vision and dream in conversation with our physical reality and what we're dealing with. So please take some time to do that at fumcescondido.org, and you click on the link. It's at the bar at the top that says SG and PC, Strategic Growth and Planning Committee. Click on that link, and on that page there's a form, and it gets your name, your email, and then you can put in, and if you run out of room because you have a huge vision, just send another one. Just keep sending them. That all gets to the committee, and it's super helpful. Thank you. That's it.
That is really helpful. Yeah, if you could put things in writing for us, then you have it all there and have it there to review. And Stephanie has a question in the back.
Jill and I, right here. Hey, Jill. I'm Stephanie Croker. I just wanted to point out that as a person, participating in RISE now, but I've been coming here since 3rd grade, it was a little awkward for us starting RISE and asking for space and trying to make space for what we were doing and everything, and trying to make changes and ask permission and be accepted and everything. Not that we weren't, I'm just saying it was a little awkward for me at least, from being here so long. So I just wanted to point out it's really encouraging for people who are not part of RISE regularly that you guys are thinking of our futures and thinking of our kids and remembering what it was like for your kids and trying to help us give that same thing back to our kids. And as we make all these changes and talk about all these changes, there's a lot of sadness for us too. I mean, we had a lot of those good memories too. I mean, anything that is talked about getting changed in the sanctuary space, that's really sentimental to me. I got baptized there, my kids did, I got married there. All the classrooms in the basement, all the rooms upstairs, this whole place was our playground, and we made lifelong friendships, and it really shaped our lives. So I just want everyone to know that a lot of us feel like that it is kind of sad for us just taking down these things, that you don't want anyone to feel like we're just like out with the old, in with the new, So just wanted to thank everybody for thinking about how great it was for your kids and seeing us grow up here and play and everything. So I just want to say thank you. Share that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is encouraging. It feels like I was prepared to have people upset at me, not for not going through this fast enough. It seems like most people are like, let's keep going. They're ready for the next thing. I was prepared for people to want to kind of block this off. So I am encouraged by this meeting. And yeah, I mean, it just feels like everyone's heart really is in our church, growing and thriving. And I appreciate that. So does anybody else have anything that they'd like to add?
Hi, I'm Janet. If anybody knows me, grew up here in the church. I am the Children's Center representative, I guess, today. If anybody has any questions about the Children's Center. I know that with COVID, we fought and stayed open. We fought hard, and we're still open. So we've been that service to the parents and the children. And I also want to point out our storage. I don't know if anybody knows, but we have, I don't even know how many times, had to move our belongings. We started off in that garage, had to move to that garage, had to move downstairs. It's not easy to bring our staff in to do that. We are still trying to organize, still. Same goes with the library. We had our library downstairs for the children's books, had to move over here to one of these rooms, had to move upstairs. We're still trying to work on that. I know that the pictures you took were not pleasant. They weren't good pictures, but you know, we're a Monday through Friday job. We're doing our best to organize it and get it looking nice, but we got to stop moving it. That's not easy to move thousands of books. We really want it to look good for the church. We're trying. We can't bring staff in on the weekend. We can't afford to pay them. So if anybody has any questions for us about that. I also would like to point out that the pictures were taken, obviously, October, maybe November, because there's a pumpkin in the picture.
November, yeah.
And I don't know if anybody's seen the room since then, but those pictures didn't show our day-to-day outlook of the school. And again, like I said, we're just trying to be a service and stay open for our parents. So if anybody has any questions about how it looks, or if I can explain anything about the Children's Center.
I just wanted the pictures of every space. I mean, there's not just preschool. I mean, it's all over the church. There's storage all over the church. And a lot of our concerns with the preschool are also just, I mean, it was built how many years ago, and it's just not, you know, this is not your fault at all. I'm just saying, like, it's, you know, the front office is over here, and then it's across this court. You guys have a lot that you're working with to make a preschool work, and so it's just, you know, the layout and everything is not ideal, and of course that's, you know, not at all your fault. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that there's other issues with the preschool.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
The front office is up there because that's my office. Mm-hmm. The children aren't ever in there, but that's so I could see who's coming and going, again, for the children's safety.
Sure.
If I was way back here, I wouldn't know if a stranger came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is 100% my job.
No, and I'm sorry, I don't mean, I'm not trying to put blame or anything. I'm just noting the physical flaws of the layout of the preschool is all.
Right. Somebody has to be up there, either way.
Right.
But yeah, I'm taking your explanation. I'm not contradicting you at all.
Hey, so I think we're all on the right track. I think we all have similar visions. We all want a good spot for our children. We all want good worship spaces for the 3 services that we have. Things that sound great to us, like those visions of an outdoor space with running water, that sounds awesome to me. And these are all things that I think fall into the category of things we already know that we want. We want a space outside where we can meet after the services, because we've done that historically. It's been great to have coffee after a service and commune with each other. And these are all things that we're trying to assess and move forward. And this is a church of growth. This is not the first layout of the buildings that this church has ever had. We've continually improved as time goes on. And I think that's why I think we're all ready to move forward the way we are, is because this hasn't been a church that was built as a cathedral in the 1300s. We've moved with the times. These buildings are not the first ones that were put down here. And so I think we'll continue to move with, like Becca said, we are moving away from the church that we once were, and we are moving into the church that we are. And we just need to, accommodate that and have our physical location reflect our population currently and be utilized the best way it can. So I think we're on the right track. So I'm really hopeful about everything.
Is that it? Does everyone feel good? Any last thoughts? One more. Okay.
We'll talk. I'm really glad for the consideration going to the preschool and godly play. I'm wondering about some of the other missions. And I haven't heard any discussion about the couple of different Bible studies, really nothing about for the UMW, centering prayer, common ground. So I hope that any proposal might
Yeah.
Consideration of those
Absolutely.
groups also. A little bit older group, but still.
No, yeah, and that's part,
Everyone
part of
gets
our
older.
values. One of our values was being intergenerational, which means something for everybody. So our primary focus isn't just going to be on the children. And part of the work is that we are going to review all of our current ministries, our current groups, because we have to accommodate what we have now, but we also need to look at what we want to be in the future. So absolutely, everybody at some point is going to have some input here, for sure, and needs to have some input here.
Yeah, I think those groups might like to be earlier in this process.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lori Schwartz, and I'm part of the committee, and I just want to say that I'm really excited for the future of our church and really want to encourage everybody to show up to these meetings, the futures meetings, send, like Pastor Ben said, send email with your wishes, your dreams, because everybody has a stake in this and everybody's voice counts. And again, I'm just really excited about the future of our church. Thank you.
Anyone else? We're good? All right. Ben, do you want to pray us out, please? Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and all of those of you who were with us digitally. Hopefully a lot, probably like 500. It would be my guess. All right, if you'll bow your heads with me, let us pray. God, thank you for your church, for calling us into community through working out salvation with people, God. It's you call the people from the beginning. You continue to call people. You have called us here into this community, into this church, these people called Methodists, and we want to continue that beautiful tradition from which we've received, and in order that we might pour into the community and into the world your love and grace that we've received so much. Be with us now as we go from this place and this meeting, and continue to fill us with dreams and vision and guidance as we move forward as your people. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, everyone.